Most reggae fans globally became acquainted with Richie Spice in 2004 with, of course, the massive hit song Earth Around Red, which hit number one on the charts in Jamaica, then internationally. Earth Around Red was originally featured on Spice's debut album Universal, which was where I heard about him first, and it was released by Heartbeat Records 4 years earlier. And in early 2004, he signed with Fifth Element Records, and they began a promotional campaign for Earth Around Red, which resulted in the song's steady rotation on airwaves and in the dancehall. A subsequent video brought even greater visibility to his career. Additional hit songs included Folly Living, Ghetto Girl, and Marijuana, and they were featured on Spice's debut album for Fifth Element Records, Spice in Your Life, which of course earned critical acclaim. In fact, the Los Angeles Times cited it as one of the best top 10 songs in any musical genre. Spice's career continued to soar as a result of his live performances. In fact, Billboard magazine ranked him among the top 6 performers at Reggae Sunsplash 2006. And as a means of expanding his international fan base, Spice joined forces with VP Records, where they released Spice's album In the Streets to Africa 2000 with his romantic brown skin, Gideon Boots, World is in a Cycle, Let's Go Along with Gentleman, and of course the big hit Plain Land. Spice was of course the recipient of numerous awards and accolades, including the Most Cultural Artist Award, and that was at the South Florida's Reggae Soca Awards in 2005. He also got Male Singer of the Year at Irie FM Award. This was for 2000 and 2008. And his 2004 album Spice in Your Life was of course listed as the year's biggest reggae single by the New York Times. In the Streets to Africa reached number 6 on the Billboard Reggae charts, and one of the album's biggest hits, You Them Cool. That one peaked at number 59 on Billboard's Top 100 Singles charts and ranked at number 29 on Vibe magazine's Best 44 Songs of 2007. In 2011, Spice released his 5th studio album, Book of Job, and that was distributed by VP Records, and that peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Reggae charts. The album featured popular hits such as Black Woman, Legal, New Day, and that one actually held the number 1 spot in Kenya and Grenada for a period of 3 months. Richie has, of course, toured the U.S. extensively, has toured Australia, Africa, the French Caribbean, and has graced the stages of many popular festivals. We're talking about festivals like Rebel Salute, Redemption Live, the Bob Marley Birthday Festival, for which he was named one of the top performers at that festival. So there you have it. Our very special guest on Mic Check today, of course, Mr. Bonner. We're talking about Richie Spice.
There is a whole lot of conscious youth man out there.
And I tell you that the time is getting critical.
Yes, it is.
I don't want you to worry. No, I never want you to fret.
And you know, as I turn the music down and journey all the way down to Jamaica to join one of the most conscious reggae artists to come out of Jamaica, you know him, ladies and gentlemen, as Richie Spice. And Anthony, as you read that bio this morning, I was wondering if this was one individual you were talking about. You mentioned Vibes magazine, you mentioned the Billboard magazine, you mentioned New York Times. All these publications have actually wrote about this man. Dangerous and righteous youth man. Richie Spice, welcome to Groovin Radio.
Yes, Groovin Radio. Give thanks to the Sabbath. Give thanks to life, health, and strength, every living thing that move it and creep it up on the face of the earth. Give thanks for having me,
Blessed love, Rastafari.
Good morning, Richie.
No,
Morning again.
Richie Spice, you heard what Mr. Turner had to say about you, and I am wondering how old is a Richie Spice, because if I should start playing Richie Spice now, we'll continue playing it until tomorrow. So the journey of a Richie Spice. Tell us a little about a young Richie Spice and, you know, why reggae music and the kind of music you do, sir.
Well, first, I mean, the kind of music that I sing right now, I keep the music in a more rutical vibration, like how I conceit, I man conceit, and how I grow, because type of people them that grow eyes, like, certain type of people we're in which mean. Deal with the music and more rootical vibration and, keep it on a positive vibes where, then deal with it positive as, that's the earth set up itself. So I'm on stick to that level there, of the music and join all the music and, continue the journey. Right, so,
The message in your music, Richie Spice, and I'm sure that you recognize that those who came before you with this kind of message, most of the time, their music gets suppressed. Now, but you chose that path and you are still on that journey. And it's a journey that we believe is the right journey. It opens people's eyes, Breadman. And the message that you bring to the youngsters, Richie Spice. I mean, when did you realize in your life that this is what Richie Spice wanted to do?
Well, I mean, I was there, doing other things also, and doing other things, trying other things, running away from it until, eventually it comes apart naturally, So the direct ear, I wouldn't pinpoint, like specific to say the direct ear when I really find out.
Right.
But it was like my younger teens, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I really find out some really have it like that,
It is a serious mission, Richie, and I started off with Righteous Youth Man, and during our conversations here weekly, we'll talk about the youngsters who are currently in the music today. There's a lot of conscious reggae artists, young conscious reggae artists, but when I look at the time when you came into the music, there's just as much conscious reggae artists in your time, and for some reason you're not hearing much about them today. But through this program, Mic Check, we decided that we're gonna expose and we're gonna continue to shine the light on artists like yourself because the message is powerful. I'm gonna play a song called Gideon Boot Anthony, and listen to this song. Just take a listen, audience.
I got a strong reggae beat with a mic in a me. Yep. To lead out the youth them out of destruction. And tell the people they should know right from wrong. We got the strength, we got the power to help each other up the ladder.
Now let me say this. This song have all the ingredients to uplift any youngster anywhere in the world. And it's done by a reggae artist by the name of Richie Spice Breadman. When you hear a song like that, Breadman, what comes to mind?
Well, message. Anytime I hear an artist like Richie Spice, I feel elated because I love the message. But Richie, good morning. I have one question for you. I want you to answer the question. When you hear a song what comes to mind? I just answered you.
No, man, you don't answer the question yet. Go ahead, Breadman.
We're interviewing Richie right now. I'll come back to that with you. Richie, good morning. The question I have for you is, usually when I hear, I see a situation like this where a bunch of siblings are all gravitate towards the music, such as yourself. I'm wondering how did that come forth? Usually it's like a father that's usually a singer, but I want to know, how did that happen? You, Spanna Banna Plies, what really made you guys gravitate towards reggae music?
Well, the music was there from before, I mean, traveling from Africa in that little boat, 10 foot long by 4 feet wide, we're in which mean, and I, the only thing was there to take us on the journey is redemption songs, where we sing until we reach our destination, so eventually it's like it filter out in this time, and it's like, it seemed like I for appearance was one of those people that have that strong voice, and it filter out down to
I'm gonna go back to my question I asked Breadman Anthony, and when I listen to a song like Gideon Boot, it brings me to ask myself, how does a young man like a Richie Spice sit down in Jamaica and can see the clear picture of what he needs, what we need to really uplift our youths, and realizing that the world is it's a tough place, but through our music we have messengers like Richie Spice who is telling us what we really need. He says he has a mic in his hand, all right, and he has we have the power. We have the power to come together. We have the power to make this work. He's not going to sit by and watch our youth suffer. He's going to tell them the truth.
So you hear the message?
And I say this, Richie, that these music must be played on radio, and these music should be played on a daily basis. No.
For real?
Yes, man. No, Richie, your writing style, and I want to know, who were some of your musical idols? Who were some of your musical influence then, growing up in Jamaica?
Well, you know, right now I'm on grow up in our home. We're in Richmond, you know. I mean, that's like a big family, like, you know, 11 people live together, brothers and sisters, mother and father. You know, bigger brother used to work, still working at this radio station in Jamaica called RGR, Supreme Sound. We're in Richmond. He was the person who, at that time, you know, he had that opportunity where, you know, he could get like the records from the radio station. You know, so we were in which me and him bring in on Sunday morning time, you know, he'd always string up him turntable and thing in that time, you know, and he play. But the song that he played was like Bob Marley, you know, he played the Burning Spear, Birds for that Man, you know, the Josie Field, you know, those type of people. So eventually, now those type of people grow through the same words of, you know, the same music, you know.
Right.
What's that brother's name? Because I didn't know you had a brother who worked on radio. What's his name?
His name is Errol. They call him Rocky.
Okay. It's a big family, man.
Yeah.
You know, Richie, the next song I'm gonna play, and it is so connected to what's going on today. It's called World Crisis, and we just spoke about Russia and Turkey. And listen to this song.
World crisis. I can hear the people cry. I'm crisis. It's getting higher and higher. Out in the streets, and lots of people die.
Now, Richie Spice, when you think about some of the music, some of the songs that you have recorded, and you look how it relates to what's happening in the world today, I mean, where would you put yourself, Richie? Because sometimes I think artists like yourself might just be a genius and we just don't know it, you know? Because it is just amazing that you can see these things happening all over the world, and you can put your pen to paper and record it to open our eyes, huh?
Yes. Well, you know, right now, you know, man, just do the work, you know, because, you know, that I don't give myself I don't take on to any self-praise and all these things, you know. I just like do the work, do my work, you know, and take it as a work, you know, working for the people, you know, and just my work.
Right.
You know.
But Richie, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I've wanted to ask this for a long time, Universal, your debut album, that's when I first came to know the name Richie Spice, Earth Around Red, and that song really didn't get a lot of attention back when it was originally released in the early 2000s. Then you got signed to Fifth Element Records and the whole promotion and things started. How did Heartbeat Records find you as an artist and put you on their label so early in your career?
Well, you know, apparently that album, I did that album for my bigger brother. He then organized that album and put it together, Pliers. And I was searching for a record distribution company to distribute it for me. You know, where I couldn't find any. You know, I linked with Everton Blender, and that's where I get introduced to Heartbeat Records. You know, Heartbeat Records take this album and release it, distribute it for me, put it out there. you know, and put me on the road with Everton Blender. So, you know, I used to open shows for like Everton Blender, you know, and just promoting, you know, just working, just singing, you know, don't know. I respect the song them, you know, I have confidence in them, you know, and I know that, you know, they have great potential, you know, and I know that the type of lyrics and, you know, the melodies and, you know, the message is, you know, is the type of thing that people needed out there.
Yes.
More than anything else. You know, so I use that motivation and help myself, you know, to continue touring, you know, touring without money, nothing at all, but, you know, just going out there 1 month, 2 months on the road and come back, can't pay my rent, $5,000 for my rent and I can't pay it down.
Wow.
Because I come off a 2 months tour.
Wow. You know, Richie, you were a part of a group of artists, and the fact that Anthony even mentioned Fifth Element. Let me take you back a little where, when you look at the group of artists that were around you, or you were around with Etana, with Anthony, help me out here. You had a Chuck Fender.
Anthony Cruz.
That group of artists, Richie, and when you look at the young group of artists now coming out, Chronix and Janine and Kabaka Pyramid, that group of artists really reminds me now about this current group of youngsters coming out of Jamaica. I mean, why do you think, Richie? And I want you to answer this question for me. Why do you think radio jocks and even dancehall DJs shy away from the kind of music like what artists like yourself do? Why do you think so?
Well, I think it's because that's when I was a slower pace of music, and I mean capital-wise, you know, capital-wise it pay, you know, but it don't pay as fast as, you know, if you do dancehall music. You know, because dancehall music, you know, you can't get paid quick. But, you know, this type of music that I sing, you know, is a slower pace of music, and it takes a longer time for people to really acknowledge and, you know, gravitate to it and all these things. So, you know, I guess that is why, you know, because, I mean, some people might not have that patience. Yeah.
I'm going to drop a tune here that I know was a #1 tune.
Watch out to the big time people who claim say that them smart.
And them not smart at all.
Bringing the crack and the gun to come mash up the youth, them heart. Red. When you all a look them on a TV.
You know, Anthony, I'm going to say this right now. And, you know, when you look at reggae music and you look at the respectability in reggae music, anywhere you go in the world, you can mention reggae music and Jamaica, and one name come to mind. Robert Nesta Marley. Wasn't a dancehall artist. Never played in the dancehall. But I think we have it twisted, Richie. And hear why we have it twisted. People around the world recognize the Jimmy Cliffs of the world, the Bob Marleys of the world, the Burning Spears of the world. I don't really know of a dancehall artist, Anthony, who, if you go to Russia today and mention his name, somebody might jump up and tell you who he is and can sing a song. So I think our responsibility is to expose, and we have been doing it. Our responsibility is to expose this kind of music, because this is reality, Richie Spice. The earth is really running red. You have been singing about it for years, and again, how many people are gravitating to the message?
Well, I would say right now, you know, without 100%, I would say 85, you know. Yeah.
That's interesting. Let me ask you something. How are you received when you go to even back to the motherland? When you visit Africa to do shows, how do the people receive you in Africa?
Oh my.
Ah boy, hear this.
Excellent, man. Great, more than crazy, man. You know, I went there to perform already, and you know, I have to leave. You know, them have to leave. You know, them have to put me in a different car.
What do you mean?
Yeah, superstar.
Because, you know, for the love.
But Richie, 9/11.
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on. Go ahead, Richie. Continue.
Yeah,
Talk.
the love that the people them have arise, like, you know, them earthy, I don't know, say.
Mm-hmm.
But they really want earthy intentionally, but,
Mm-hmm.
they, you know, them earthy and don't know what them doing, you know.
Excitement, yeah, man. Because Richie, you are a messenger, you know. Your music is strictly message that it could be. You could take it to the classroom to say, because when you listen to the lyrics, Anthony, you realize that the man is a teacher. Go ahead with your question about 9/11, Anthony.
Yeah, man, 9/11 was a day that we all don't want to relive here in the U.S. And you had recorded that song, Plain Land. Tell us about the song and what motivated it. And, you know, some of the lyrics that you choose to include in the record.
I didn't get your question clearly before. Now I'm not hearing you clearly, sir.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, no, I was talking about Plain Land. After 9/11, you did that song and it became such a monster hit. Tell us about the song and, you know, the real motivation for putting those lyrics together.
Well, you know, so the whole motivation was traveling one day, you know, on tour, traveling, and, you know, I meet up on this guy, you know, going through one immigration, meet up on this guy, and it's like, this guy was leaving, I don't know, it's like time for him leave work now, you know, and it's like them holding back, you know, but it seemed like him well want to leave, so, you know, I was the last person he had to deal with, you know, them holding back to deal with me, and, you know, it's like he was very upset, so when him started to deal with my luggage and thing, you know, him deal with it very hostile now, you know, where in which mean, you know, that is where the whole
motivation came
vibration of the song come from, you know. You know, like all the stimulant and all these things now where I'm saying that's a stimulant, you know, it's like, you know. I try to explain it to him, but to him throw it with a arrogance, you know.
Him no want hear nothing. Him no want hear nothing.
Vibe.
Yeah.
You know.
So for those of you who never listened to this song, The Plain Land, here it is.
Dash a me toothpaste, dash a me stimulant. Hold the day a ball and dash a medication. Draw out me belt, left me pants in a me hand. Scan all me eye, ask me where me come from. Take off me shoes, them and say take off your thumb. If them ever find a way to sleep, you can. Oh, na, na, na.
Now, Anthony, when you have an experience, like a Richie Spice, and you know, a lot of us have that experience when we come and the guy want to go home and him upset. And him just start throw away your stuff them. But you'll never imagine that the vibration for this song came out of an incident like that, you know, and at that time, Anthony, it was a very, very tough time for a lot of us, especially when you're real lax, you know, when you're a Rasta man, you know, it's a tough thing to be around certain people. Richie, stay where you are. I'm going to drop one more song. We're going to go up to the top of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk about this topic because recently in Jamaica, they had a big festival on the western side of the island pertaining to this. It's called marijuana.
Na, 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 na.
The voice of Richie Spice.
La, 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 la. How you doing? Burning marijuana upon me calm. You keep me calm. You make me smart.
That's right.
Breadman, make myself your life is not a dead man.